Now, back to Sound Advice on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.
Hi, I'm Susan Michaels.
And I'm Rick O'Brien, and this is Sound Advice.
Today we're talking with Jasen Lawrence. He's owner of Citywide Maintenance of Washington. Welcome, Jasen.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me.
First of all, this is a franchise, right?
Yes,
that you're a part
we
of.
are.
Why choose to become a part of a franchise rather than kind of striking out on your own?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and something that I thought about myself quite a bit. But the advantage that I found within Citywide was simply that there's a network and a support system that's really unparalleled. So knowing that I have essentially 42 other owners across the country that are in the same position I am, where we put everything that we have into this, and it has to work, was huge. The second point also was that the support system that's provided is amazing. So rather than needing to blaze the trail on my own, it was already blazed. So just follow it and improve it as we go.
When did the company begin, the parent company?
Yeah, the company started back in 1961.
Okay, so it's been around quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was founded by a gentleman by the name of Frank Odo back in 1961 out of Kansas City.
Huh.
Yeah, Frank was actually in town about a year and a half ago. Got a call from him.
Oh,
saying,
really?
Yeah. Said, I'm in town. I want to hang out with you. And so that was pretty special. So I got to spend some time with him, which was awesome.
Okay.
That's really cool. So now tell us a little bit about Citywide Maintenance, what the company offers, and also some personal history, how you got to the point you are now where you're a part of Citywide.
Yeah, Citywide is itself, essentially we're a management company for the building maintenance industry. And they have experience, and we, as I'm part of the family, we have experience, really over 50 years worth of experience in building and facility services. And we provide over 20 different services. Really anything from parking lot work, anything you do with the parking lot, from sweeping, snow removal, de-icing, pothole repair, asphalt, you name it, we do it.
Okay.
To janitorial, to even pest control and lawn and landscape, handyman services. So it's quite a range, which is awesome. And the second part of your question was the brief history on
yourself. How did you get into this? What did you do in your past that led you kind of to where you are now?
Yeah, in my past, a lot of it really was derived from Cintas. That was really my first real professional position, and it was awesome. So back in 2006, I started there as a sales associate. I had some challenges, as most salespeople do, figuring things out. And then in 2007, in the summer, just before summer, I actually was officially promoted to a sales rep. Okay. And so I was excited about that. By the time 6 months had passed by, I actually was captain of my sales team, and by the time that year ended, I was blessed to finish number 47 in the country out of over 600 reps.
Wow.
So I was really excited, mainly because it just shows that I was learning and things were working. And then as time progressed, I really was put in several different mentoring roles with Cintas. I actually had the opportunity to mentor and train over 15 different reps, and 3 of those reps finished top 15% in the country, and 2 of them finished top 5%.
Ah, wow.
And so from really 2008 through 2011, unfortunately, I was passed over for a couple management jobs. I look back at it and see it was a blessing, and that was within the organization. And then a good friend of mine gave me a call and said, there's an opportunity with Citywide. You really need to look into it because I think it would be an excellent fit for your skill set.
Now, there was no Citywide in this area at that time?
There was a Citywide in this area. I wasn't familiar with Citywide at the time. And that was essentially, Citywide's been in Washington since 2008.
Okay.
And so the summer of 2011, I jumped on board originally as a senior sales executive. The following year, I had an opportunity to buy out the previous owner that was here in town.
Okay.
Kind of a unique situation, but I was excited about it. He had 2 other partners that were involved, so I inherited them, and away we went. And that was the summer of 2012 I officially took over here in Washington.
Okay. So you still have the 2 partners?
Yes, I still have them,
Okay.
which they are both awesome.
Oh, very good.
That was another key piece for me because they're both well-established business men in the field throughout the country, and I've worked for several Fortune 500 companies, and so that gave me an opportunity to have in-house mentors that are invested in my success. So I took advantage of it.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like a good deal, definitely.
Yeah.
So tell us what makes Citywide Maintenance of Washington stand out over other maintenance companies. Why would someone call you over someone down the street?
Yeah, well, that's an excellent question. There's a couple different areas that are important with that regard. One of them is a lot of maintenance companies are limited in what service they provide. You can find some that'll do HVAC. You can find some that'll do plumbing or electrical. Some will do your cleaning. But it's not often that they cross over to so many areas.
Right.
So that's one key piece of it. Us providing 20 different services is just huge. We have several clients that use us for landscape, and then we'll also do parking lot sweeping. Plus, we do their janitorial. We'll stop in and do some handyman work. And then when it snows, we'll go do the snow removal. Of course, here in Washington, it doesn't come up too often.
Too much,
but when it does, people tend to freak out about it.
This is true.
So,
is it somewhat like a subcontractor that you have other people that work for you to do some of the jobs that you have?
Exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly what it is. But one of the things, actually, that's a key point where I was a little bit sensitive initially in looking at the system, just because my history and work history, if I had an issue with someone providing a service, I could go down the hall and talk to them.
Yeah.
And so really that was an area of contention that I dug into with Citywide quite a bit. And what I found out is their structure for that is completely different than what I'd been involved with before. So initially it starts off marketing similar ways to what another company would do when they're looking for a company to partner with or a vendor of some sort. But once that process is done is when the real process starts. We do pre-screening. We do in-person interviews, phone interviews, checking references, insurance, licensed and bonded. After all that, we need to see your equipment. We're going to inspect your equipment. We do background checks, checking insurance, business, license, all of those things. So we really have about 10 to 15 steps after that initial discovery phase. So quite frankly, there's a good amount of contractors that don't make it through the process because we need to make sure things are set up properly. After all, it's more than just a subcontractor. It's working together.
If somebody has, let's say they have somebody cleaning their facility, and they say, you know what, I'm kind of not happy with whatever reason, can you then say, well, let's get someone else in there? I mean, I would think you have that flexibility of being very versatile at having the different people that you can suggest.
Yeah, that's definitely an area we tackle. But there's another thing that separates us, because I really got to the first point, but you played right into my second point, is the management level. And so one of the things, aside from just having a subcontractor or a crew in a facility, is we have our own night managers that are our employees. We have our own account managers, which are our employees. We have our director of operations. So when we get started with a new client for janitorial, we're taking our director of operations there. We're taking the customer's account manager there. They get to see our responsibilities. Then we pick from our crews. We bring them. We tour them. So they get to see the facility before they accept to work with us in that building. We also train our night managers. And so when we first get started, our night managers are trained. So back to what you were covering with changing crews. Because of the fact that we have our night managers trained in each of the buildings we have, if we do run into a situation where we do need to change the crew, we have a night manager who can lead that charge because they're trained in the building. Now, as a client, you don't have to fight the hiccups of the crew change. The other thing is, when we put that night manager in the first couple of nights, we're covering that expense. And so my objective before just giving up on a crew and pulling them out is giving them coaching and training and feedback, trying to see what's the issue. A lot of times we find we can work that out, and it works out great before even needing to make a change. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like it makes things really smooth for your clients.
It makes it extremely smooth because as a client, that's one of the biggest reasons that you're making a change because it wasn't smooth before.
Right.
So you want a company that's going to take care of it. And so those extra systems, the extra management in place is really what separates us.
Now, it sounds like you have some services that oftentimes you wouldn't be thinking about. Let's say snow removal or something like that.
Yeah.
The last few winters especially, we haven't had much snow at all. So someone can open up a business, go through several years, and not even have to worry at all about certain things, and then all of a sudden say, hey, what am I going to do about this?
Yeah.
And you actually you know exactly who to contact, who to bring in, and can take care of that for them.
Yeah, it just makes it really easy. We want to make sure the account manager for each account is really comfortable with the client, and they're comfortable with them as well with all the information. The other thing that we say, which is actually became kind of funny recently, is we go to our clients and we just simply ask what area or what vendor is giving you the most trouble, or which item are you bidding out next? And it's kind of like our standing joke because we figure out most things that they're looking to bid out, we can take care of for them. It makes it easy. We once got asked by a client that is a car dealership if we could do some stickers for their car and put together. Like, that's a little bit outside what we can do. But it's rare that we find too many things that we can't tackle.
Sure.
And it just makes it extremely easy for the client.
Okay, so you go through a pretty rigorous process in finding those who are going to come in and actually do the work.
Yes.
Do you ever, I guess what I want to find out is, you said a lot of them don't make the cut, so to speak. How many do you usually go through before you find a good one?
It depends on the industry type. Sometimes it could be 3, 4, or 5. Sometimes it can be 10. It really just depends. The other thing that's key is that anybody that comes through our door along the process, we got to make sure that we're the best fit for them. And so what do I mean by that? What I mean is that if I have a new client that's up north in Everett, but one of my better crews is in Tukwila, even though they're awesome and they made it through the cut, that's not a good fit for them. Right. So one of the things that makes us different as well is we look out for the subcontractors, because that's going to end up in a better situation for the client. Then the commute's not an issue and those areas aren't troubling. So we go through quite a few, but a lot of times it's just making sure when you're in our system, it's not one-sided where you come in the door and we just have you for our need. We really want you to be excited about working with us, because you just deliver a better product for the customer.
That's true. That's very, very smart way to do things. Tell us just a little bit about some of the different services that you do provide that maybe people wouldn't even think about.
That's a great thing. I don't know how many people don't think about. Usually you're thinking about it when it's on your plate, like, oh my goodness. We take care of a couple clients in downtown Seattle. One example was there was a flood in one of our clients' buildings. They actually didn't know that we could come take care of the problem. Okay. So they called a company to come out that was separate from us. That company took a good hour. They hadn't showed up. So they actually called their account manager, who's now my director of operations, Josh Crow, and asked and described the situation. He said, yeah, we can take care of that for you. So what we did is we actually just brought out one of our carpet cleaning trucks and brought out one of our best carpet cleaning crews and just did a water extraction to get rid of it. Funny thing was, when we showed up, we're halfway through finishing the job before the other company even showed up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so that was something they hadn't thought about until it came up. We weren't initially their first choice, but we haven't been their second choice on anything since.
It sounds like.
So that's an example. Other things that come up, pest control. Most people, especially clients, when they're in a situation where there's dust in their building or a spider web or something, usually they look at it like you're not dusting. So we dig into, well, when's the last time your building was sprayed for insects and those things? And we can tackle that, and it's amazing. You go into a treatment for them, and then the spider webs stop.
Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll get more into some of the things that you do and how people can get a hold of you and having your buildings all working nice and good.
We're talking with Jasen Lawrence. He's the owner of Citywide Maintenance of Washington on Sound Advice.
We'll be back with more Sound Advice after this on Business Radio 1300 KKOL. Sound Advice continues here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.
I'm Susan Michaels.
And I'm Rick O'Brien, and this is Sound Advice.
And we're talking with Jasen Lawrence. He's the owner of Citywide Maintenance of Washington. So you have lots of services that you can provide that other companies couldn't do.
Exactly, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about some of those services.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few different things. One that people don't often think about until it's too late is pest control. So that comes up. A lot of customers aren't aware of somebody with the name maintenance could stretch and take care of that as well.
It's both bugs and rodents?
Yeah, bugs, rodents, any of the spraying and treatments. A lot of times what we find is when we're cleaning buildings and you're doing the dusting, oftentimes you find spider webs. And so from a client's perspective, that's usually not a daily item, the higher dusting. And so a lot of times they'll come back to us like, hey, you guys really taking care of it? And so we're like, yes, we're definitely taking care of it. But question I have for you is, when's the last time you sprayed your building? They said sprayed your building because most people think of the mouse traps and the bait traps. They don't think about the smaller insects. And so by providing that service, makes the dusting easier because spider webs don't come back. So that's one of the services that has been brought up that most people don't consider or don't think about right away.
Okay.
One of the things I'm noticing on your list that I have to ask about is flu season services. What is you come around and give people shots?
Nope. Okay. Nope, that's a whole different training.
What is flu season services?
Yeah, well, a lot of that is a lot of the deeper cleaning, a lot of it's disinfecting, sanitizing.
Okay.
Essentially, it's any items that are off of our normal obligation for the work that we provide to take care of. A lot of times what we find in flu season is a lot of people consider schools and daycares, and we take care of them too. But we also are looking at gyms and fitness facilities, and what are you doing? We have a client that we take care of that has a training facility, and one of the things they look at is for athlete's foot. So a lot of time we'll go in, and I know this isn't flu season for that, but a lot of times we'll come in and do a deep cleaning with a different chemical that we use to make sure you're clear there. So flu season is just a lot of the details, especially when people are getting sick, disinfecting areas and sanitizing. Mainly contact surfaces.
Basically keeping people healthy so they don't, right? So.
Yeah.
So let's get some unusual requests that you get from clients.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of them over the years. One of them was we had a client that actually moved one of their business segments from down in Portland up here to Kent. And so they asked us to do some cleaning. And so we thought standard cleaning. And we get to their facility, and it's a food production facility. So they wanted everything prepped. They wanted us wiping down walls.
So before they bring in their equipment?
Yes. Yes. So they had 35-foot high ceilings and walls. We're wiping down walls. They had piping, and they make different types of tea, actually. And so in the previous, that's what they were making before moving the new industry in. And so we're wiping cinnamon off walls and cinnamon off of HVAC piping on these boom lifts, and so it's definitely needed to get creative with some of the ways to tackle it, but they were just excited because their other option was try to do it themselves.
Oh, wow.
They weren't looking forward to that. Yeah. So, yeah, that was definitely an unusual request.
Anything else that stands out?
Yeah, we had a client that I think I mentioned earlier. We had a client that wanted us to do some stickers on a car for a car dealership. And that same client called us back, and actually they had a problem with their main sign. Their normal business freestanding sign. It had busted in a couple areas, so we actually looked at that situation, and we brought in one of our handymen. So we brought in a handyman that actually brought the materials, repaired their sign, and fixed it. And they didn't think we could take care of that.
Okay, so you have a handyman that can do kind of generally everything. He kind of comes in with his little tool bag and...
Yeah, and so that was easy. And then that same client actually had a water main, like a flooding problem underneath the concrete in their parking lot. Well, Josh, my director of operations, he was actually able to look at their CAD drawings and their various drawings of their property to isolate where the issue was. So although we didn't fix the issue, the client was just surprised because he's looking at Josh like, who is this guy? He didn't expect that he could look at the drawings and break down the evaluation to figure out the source of the problem.
And make it a lot easier for them to relate to whoever was going to fix it.
Oh, yeah. Right. We saved them a ton of money because they didn't need a site evaluation any further. It was free. So, yeah.
Wow.
And you have a website, right?
We do. www.gocitywide.com. Of course, for us, it's /Washington. Come straight to Washington. Otherwise, you're on the main site.
Okay. Yes. Now, what can people find there on the website?
What you can find, there's a lot of good information on there. One, you can see an intro video that talks about the company and breaks that down. I have about the first 30 seconds when I'm speaking. A lot of that's about how we are proactive versus reactive. In this industry, it's a lot about being reactive, and we're extremely proactive. We're looking for ways we can improve with what we're doing for our clients. The majority of companies out there, what they do is you have an itemized scope or service agreement, depending on what people call it, that says what your responsibilities are. Well, most of the time they go in, they do those responsibilities, and that's it. The way we look at it is when we have your account manager auditing your facilities, they're also looking for what other areas we can help out.
Okay.
For example, let's just say your walls look terrible, but that's not our standard task. It's not on our scope of work. Well, what we'll do is we'll then go to our contacts and say, hey, I noticed your walls really need retouching. Do you want us to take care of that for you? So we're looking for other areas that we can tackle proactively, and it stretches across all the services we provide.
Okay. Yeah. And when somebody contacts you, you have some type of an interview set up that you find out what their needs are? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, as soon as we're contacted, we'll reach out to them. Of course, we arrange it. We do an in-person meeting. It starts off pretty simple. It's really casual. It's just trying to understand what's the current situation and what you're looking for. Then we do a building tour.
What type of facility they have, whether they have a parking lot or all those things?
Yeah, when we're analyzing, we're just asking simple questions about what you're doing and who you're using.
Okay.
And then from there, our objective is just to put together a program that'll work best for you. However, there are certain times we run into businesses where quite frankly, the needs that they have don't fit best with what we're looking for. And so the best service we can provide is just being honest and upfront and saying, you know, I have a different solution or a different company. So sometimes that actually results in us not earning their business. But the bottom line is our objective is look out for the customer.
Yeah.
And how accessible are you? I would imagine that you are 24 hours a day that somebody can get a hold of somebody when they need something.
Definitely. We're easily accessible, and the coverage is mainly because we have the account managers during the day, and then we also have our night managers at night. So we have 24/7 coverage from one of the cell phones, either day manager or at night. And typically, all of our clients have my information as well. My cell phone, it's never turned off. I've been thankful that we've been able to continue to grow and bring on staff, so they're getting some of those phone calls.
Sure.
But as a last resort, that's always there, too.
Okay. Now, you even have security and access things that you can set up for businesses. That seems to me like something that would have been, you know, a separate issue when they got everything all set. But do you actually handle that as well?
Well, currently in Seattle, we don't. It's one of those areas we're looking at bringing on board.
Okay.
Quite a few other cities are tackling that area as well. And so it's one of those things that we're heavily looking into, especially as big of a concern as security is
in this
for facilities. We're looking into it. So we're not quite there yet.
Okay.
You found one of the few things that we're not.
But I thought that was very cool. But if you're working on it, hey, that's great.
Yeah, we're working on getting that set up. The idea is just to make it easy on the client. So as many things as we can tackle for you, we'll take care of it.
Okay.
But at the same time, if we run across something that's really not our specialty, something we're not going to deliver on, we're not going to tell our client, yes, we can
we'll
tackle
take
it.
care of that.
Just to do it. Because it's not worth losing a relationship over something that you can't tackle. A lot of people would think that you stretch yourself thin.
Sure.
Well, on our objectives, we're specialists in everything. We take care of and make sure that that's not an issue.
Okay. Not only cleaning, but also painting, I see.
Yes, we take care of quite a bit of painting. It comes up quite a bit. You have a couple of scuffs on the wall,
makes a big difference in appearance. You want to put your best foot forward if you're a company.
Yeah, and that's just a big deal, so we tackle that. Another type of painting is the parking lot striping. It's amazing how often you pull into a parking lot and the striping is gone.
You don't know where the stall is.
Yes,
So where is
where
this?
do I park?
Yeah, and so we tackle that as well. That's one of the things that we've done a ton of for a lot of clients here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's part of the parking lot maintenance is the striping, and then you also sweep it and clean snow and do all of that stuff.
Yeah. I probably should have mentioned earlier when you said odd jobs. I actually had a client that sent over an email to me today, and they have their property manager. So their parking lot they have a large parking lot, and we do their sweeping and maintenance for them already. Well, they called because they came in to find quite a bit of leftover firework debris.
Oh, no. You wouldn't think about that.
You wouldn't even think about it. So they called and they said, hey, can you give us an extra service and clean this up this week? So we're like, yeah, we'll come in and take care of it for you. I didn't even think about that myself. So, yeah.
No.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, is the website the best way to do that?
Website is always the easiest.
Okay.
Just the www.gocitywide.com/Washington.
GoCitywide.com/Washington.
Yes, sir. And then the office phone number is 425-970-4060. Our office is located in Renton, so we're right here.
Okay, well, very good.
All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for being with us today on Sound Advice.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to another edition of Sound Advice. The opinions expressed on the preceding program were not necessarily those of the staff, management, or advertisers of this station. Hear from your Sound Advice team here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.